Hi, hello.
How y'all doing? I'm not sure how long I'll be here, but I just wanted to come and talk a little bit. And I'm outside getting some air. Hopefully, I can get my point across before I gotta go. Hopefully, uh, I wanted to come and talk about this before the summer solstice. Hopefully, some people can get a better or greater understanding. Um, so Earlier, I had to expose some stuff that needed to be exposed. I think that it needs to be talked about as far as witches, the plan and the path for empaths and healers, and how, especially when it comes to witches, I think that people often get it confused just across the board, thinking that we're here to just dump all of the almost like all of that negativity, all of that negative energy. It's just to be dumped onto us, and we're supposed to be like this spiritual dumping ground. And that's actually very inaccurate. It doesn't happen that way, which is why I'm very, very careful about saying, oh, I'm God. And you know how they say, give all your problems to God, and God will take care of it. I would never want to take on that kind of responsibility. There are things that we do know about, ways of which I ain't discussed half of it, ways of which we know how to send that stuff off, and then also transmuting energy, transforming it, changing it from hopefully most of the time, well, for me, 99.9% of the time, negative to positive. Okay. Okay. Testing, testing. Okay. All right. I'm only testing, testing. Can y'all hear me? Hold on. Okay, yeah. Sorry about that. Um. So witchcraft and the way that we do things, it doesn't exactly work the way that it works with other stuff. Okay. And that's perfectly fine for it to be that way. It doesn't make it bad. or indifferent. It's just that we deal with things differently. So, as a witch that does work for people, hey, Stefan, when you guys come to me, it's not a situation to where all of your bad energy is just supposed to run through me as the practitioner. That's not the way that it works. And I believe that some people think that, whether or not they're doing it purposely, or either it could be a subconscious thing that's like deeply embedded in the subconscious, but it actually does not work that way. And I think that that's why we see a great deal of projecting that is being done by people versus actually working through issues. And there's a lot to it to think about. And there's various ways and even different ways of having to. No, it wasn't the Wi-Fi. I had my audio got knocked out. Um, there are various ways of dealing with different circumstances, is what I have learned about the whole situation. Especially if you have several different factors that are kicking in and affecting a situation or a person. But it is never, oh, let me just take all my crap and dump it, you know? And I think that, so here's where the gray area comes in. Like, for example, with me, I prefer communication from my clients. I prefer them to communicate with me. Even if it's a situation to where I can't read that message at that time, I prefer the communication. It just makes it just nothing wrong with that. But the thing of it is that there's a difference between communicating and maybe building a rapport, maybe creating a level of understanding, or needing guidance, because there are some of my clients that they need extra help. There's a difference between that and then doing spiritual work. If you're really like, when you light that candle, and this is what I exposed earlier, which is why I exposed it. Somebody that came to me that was supposed to have at least an intermediate level of understanding of the craft, and was given instructions, strict instructions on how to do it, did not follow those instructions, did not, okay? And then while doing the work, instead of creating that connection with spirit, because when you're doing spiritual work, spirit should be guiding you. So once I give you the training wheels, you should be able to take off, unless you may have a few questions, especially if you're a student or if you're doing a ritual that you've never done before. The training wheels, I'm going to put them on you. And then, you know what I'm saying? And so this person that I'm talking about was mechanically doing the work, but then not connecting to spirit, apparently. And then kicking up energy and sending it to me. And so that, if that's fine if you're a student, right? I gave this person extra leeway, and the person didn't even appreciate it, totally took it for granted. I didn't, and I knew, because I knew she didn't have the money, which is why I don't do that no more. I'm sorry, because it is, what did it do? It led to this person thinking that what we know and what we do has no real value. So she could just take advantage of me, dog me out, then stalk me and lie on me So basically, this person was halfway doing it and expected me to do the other half while at the same time texting me back to back to back to back to back, sending me all of her bad energy, bad spirits. This is pointed out in the video that I put. This is pointed out because I said, "Hey sis, did you do the exorcism incantation?" No answer. Oh, I'm not going to answer that question because the answer was no. It's very important to do the exorcism incantation, even if you write it yourself, and it's even more important to do it in Latin. I don't have 12 hours to sit up here and explain why you should do the exorcism incantation in Latin. I'm not, I can't do that, y'all, because I only got about 20 minutes. The point is that that's not how we do Okay, yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that. So, uh, getting back to the discussion because I only have a few more minutes and then I gotta go. Um, when it comes to what we do, the science, the nature combined, it's really actually very beautiful the way we don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but there are some people that are just in that habit, and that's a bad habit to get into, especially if you're practicing. If you're practicing the craft, you don't really have to do that. Like, but I'm not gonna get into all of that moralistic stuff. I just want to talk about, just to say this. You know what I'm saying? So it don't work that way, especially when it's best to get to expand as far as like your understanding of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, which is why it's nothing wrong with things like Santeria, hoodoo, stuff like that. But it's certain things that you want to know, like why do you see witches chanting the air, the fire, the water, the earth, the air, the fire, the water, the earth? Why do we do that? And there's some people that just are out here practicing and they truly don't have just that basic understanding, which it can be taught just by a simple conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like that's something that if you join any coven, you're gonna learn why. Even if it's unsaid, when you're standing in a circle chanting the air, the fire, the water, the earth, you're gonna know intuitively why that's being said. So I mean, it and for me, I'm a witch, but I'm a very empathic person, very healing person, and it just I see that happening a lot. I do. I see that happening a lot. And you know what? Your problems and your curses, they're actually a blessing. So why try to put that off on somebody else anyway? The more problems you got, the more blessed you are. People don't even know that. And they constantly and so that's why a lot of witches is like, well hell, go ahead and send it to me. I'ma transmute it. I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm a teacher. So you know what I'm saying? Now it is the presence of evil and hate out there. I've learned that lesson. You know what I'm saying? If a person is just evil and they hate you, they just evil and they hate you. I've learned that. You know what I'm saying? And being nice to that person ain't gonna always fix it. You know what I'm saying? Even you can have the best intentions. And as I learned dealing with somebody that I was just talking about earlier, like it just was like, and I just wanted to say that that's not like, and there's literally nobody on this earth that is meant to do that unless, like, there are those few times, which is probably maybe I'd say 6 to 10% of the time, being a Cancer, to where a person's emotions are going to come out, their pain is going to come out, and I will take that pain and transmute it for them and process it. But to process 100% of somebody's crap, like everything about them that has some kind of origin that they don't like, that that it's equivalent to taking your stuff out on somebody else. We all, our loved ones, do it, but when it's done in access, it's kind of like, something ain't right with this. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, Unica, hello. So, I mean, it don't work like that, especially with witches. And I think that a lot of people expect that. A lot of people expect that. Like they have an expectation of that. That's why you got your golden boys and golden girls and black sheep and the scapegoats of the different families and stuff, because I have seen this happen to where every single thing that's wrong they will put it all off on that one person. And it usually is a witch. And I done seen people get taken down like that. I don't like that. If you a witch and you all right with me, I'm gonna protect you from that. You know what I'm saying? Because that, I am extremely empathic. When I sense a person, especially if it's a good person that don't mean me no harm, when I sense that they just want to live, they just want to be creative, they just want to live, they're not trying to hurt nobody, you know what I'm saying? That touches my heart, you know what I'm saying? So that I respect that in a person, you know what I'm saying? And when I see stuff coming at them and it's just like, oh, we want to ruin all your hope and your dreams, and we just want to, and it just is wrong as hell. So I mean, it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? Like, when it's no different. I see everybody as adults, but a lot of the times, and I do have a tendency to see the good in people first, unless it's real dangerous. But it's like just like a baby bird or even a little toddler baby. They got all the hope in the world, and the angels is touching them and protecting them, and they just crawling, and soon they'll be walking and talking, and that touches me. You know what I'm saying? And it really bothers me. It really does. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people think, some people in this world can really, really, people, energies, this world can really, really, really harden a person. And sometimes it's good to be that way because you can really be protective of, I mean, for me personally, I feel like when people cause problems, I mean, it's just the aggravation. You know what I'm saying? As long as you done dealt with the spiritual thing, because a lot of this stuff that we going through is really just karmic lessons. Like, I swear to y'all. And people don't like to hear that sometimes. Karmic lessons, past life stuff in the past. You deal with it, you get past it. It can be a trip. It can be a trip. It can. But it's worth it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's it's a better world that I feel that we can create. And that's why the ancestors just said, let's step up the protection. They been done did that. They said, let's step up the protection. Let's put people in their own worlds, which is why these kind of like these multiplexes have been created, because there's some people, they insist on staying where they're at, and they may like that, they may flourish there, that in that state of mind, which creates your world. Okay. So it just, I think that happened within the past 5 years, since 2020, because in 2012 we was dealing with, I feel like 2020 and 2012 was like those pivotal years, uh, of a lot of discovery and understanding. And if you fail to increase your level of understanding, there's a problem. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, what I want to say to y'all is that, if you got somebody doing that, because here's my whole thing about it. At the end of the day, a struggle in your life could be caused by another person. But you know what? You still got the power over that to fix that. So if it's been 5, 10 years, of course, seeds can be planted and they can grow. Seeds of destruction can be planted and they can grow. And you just have to make sure you know what you're doing. And then you also want to make sure that you got the information that you need, and that you're really, really, really listening to your guides, and what is your inner intuition telling you. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you got to fix it. Or if you go to somebody like myself, and they can explain it to you, sometimes it's better for you to have a level of understanding for that. You know what I'm saying? So It just is. It's a lot of that going on. Somebody can cause extra struggle, but when that moon cycle, when that moon keeps turning and the sun keep rising, what are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna, And you do have to look inward, because if a person is being aggravating and they saying some stuff to you, you know what? Do you fear what they say as an outcome? Many of us do, and that's what the fighting can be about. But it ain't about that. It's people that lie. Okay, people that lie. My auntie, who passed away years ago, she had a real problem with liars and thieves. Okay, and so now people that lie is a totally different thing. People that consistently lie, like, they're the most aggravating. I think that it's very, very aggravating. Those people that lie a lot, their foundation is lies. And so that, I think that that's the most common problem, is people that are lying. But then again, somebody can go to their altar and they can lie. Somebody go to their altar and they say, so and so gonna have this happen to them. I want this to happen to their family or whatever. And if I hear it and I'm protecting myself or my loved ones and that person, I'm gonna say, use a damn lie. So a lie can come in different forms. Use a damn lie. That ain't about to happen to my loved ones. That ain't about to happen to me. Use a damn lie. Straight up and down. And people will try to speak them curses on you, and you know what? It's messed up. It's pathological that's in that hatred, that evil that's in people. But when you find a will, you gonna find a way through that. You know what I'm saying? Because they know how to astral travel. You got to be able to block them, so they can't get through. Sometimes you got to stop them from knocking at the door too, because sometimes that knocking is enough, because it's a vibration. So it ain't about just keeping them out, people that you don't want there, but it's also about the vibration of they knocking at your astral door, at your dreamscape and all that. So it's a lot of deep stuff. And I, I don't see why people get into the craft to be problematic versus healing theyself, fixing theyself. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll create problems. I think it's got something to do with a self-love thing. Personally, 'cause that's what I was talking about. When you create a problem, and you gonna create a problem with yourself when you are either, number one, trying to condemn somebody that has already faced their music. And and spirit gonna say, you can't condemn somebody, you know what I'm saying, and then also trying to attack people that are innocent. I just don't agree with doing things like that. I think that that kind of crap, man, we shouldn't even have to think about that on a daily basis, but it's happening, and it is what it is. Okay. So whatever. But yeah, that's not the way witchcraft works. If it's a bad thing, witches can end it. They can end it. They can end the cycle. We know about cycles. Cycles are good. Cycles are good. The negative cycles are either those energies or spirits. You know what I'm saying? If you work with Santa Martha, you know that if you call to her and it's a bad spirit, a phantasm or something, Santa Martha will end that shit. She will literally obliterate a spirit. They don't if it's harmful. So, it just, it's no need to, oh, well, I gotta, now I will tell you that if a person decides that they are presenting themselves as a sacrifice, who's the people that are presenting themselves as sacrifices? People with no self-love, people that are problematic. That's a fact. People that just constantly, constantly, that, you may want to look deeper at that. You may want to look deeper at that if you have a habit of doing that. You know what I'm saying? You know, especially when you're dealing with the spirit realm, and the moment that you bring that into it, the moment that you bring, when you say God or you call to the ancestors, that's what you're dealing with. So I don't know, you know what I'm saying? It just that's just me with the situation, Um, but who am I? I'm just some witch. I like to create peace and harmony and love and healing. That's just how I am. I don't like all that. Some people like that though. You know what I'm saying? There ain't nothing wrong with that. But god dang, people get to doing all kind of stuff. All that extra stuff people get to doing. You know what I'm saying? So, anywho, that's pretty much it that I wanted to talk about. Y'all catch my drift, okay, on that. But nah, we're not here to just, now, if you have an issue, yeah, I'm always here to lend you. Like I'm not saying don't come to me with your issues. I'm not saying that. But there are some people that look at it like that. And then also another thing, what I found is that people will pay you for something and they expect you to handle the whole thing. No, that's a different price bracket. No, if you come and pay somebody for protection, you can't expect to ride that. And if you need a generational curse blocker or reversal or something else, you can't just, you know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna, you can't just ride that till the wheels fall off. So that's another thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's real talk. Like if you have to pay what you weigh, man. If it's a big problem like that, you know what I'm saying? A huge problem, and that's why some practitioners out here, they ain't touching you for less than 10K. They ain't touching you, especially if they removing curses and stuff. They ain't touching you for less than 10K, 5K, because it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with, especially if it's a lot that you dealing with. So, and it just is what it is, guys. Anyway, that's pretty much it that I wanted to say to y'all. Make sure y'all hit that thumbs up. I think that this is very valuable and useful information. Instead of running into a problem, pissing off a witch, pissing off the gods, pissing off the spirits, people should know that. And then, you know, the remedy ain't gonna be, well, I'm just gonna bust a gun. Like, oh God, like really? Like, oh, okay, yeah, bust a gun. Oh God, you know. Ah, y'all have a good night though. Enjoy y'all Saturday. I'll see y'all later. Okay. All right. Blessings to y'all. Bye bye.